So, welcome yet again to Screensphere. Now, before I carry on, Happy New Year to you all. It's finally 2021, we finally got rid of 2020 and we are back. Of course, back in lockdown, for the UK anyway, national lockdown. Woo! So, what we're doing today for my first video of the year, we are talking about Wonder Woman 1984. This has been shat on time and time again with its reviews. But for me, I'm actually really on the opposite side of the coin. It feels to me like it's a pretty good film. But we are going to talk about some pros and cons. It's not the perfect film, I'll tell you now, before we even think about it. It's nowhere near a perfect film. However, it has some fun parts, and we're going to talk about that now. So let's get straight into those fun parts with the pros. And the biggest pro of this film is that opening scene where we get Wonder Woman going through the city, saving people. You know, it is just absolutely beautiful to watch. The colour, you know, it just feels like a superhero film in this moment. You know, she's saving people, she's, you know, taking down bad guys. It feels wonderful, and it's a shame that the film could not keep that kind of style, you know, throughout its runtime. However, saying that, like I said before, it's not a perfect movie, but this scene definitely feels more like Richard Donner as Superman. You know, I am a big fan of all four Christopher Reeve Superman films, and yes, I am including number 4. I am including Christopher Reeve. But you know, that's what this startup scene feels like. It feels like those Christopher Reeve films. It feels like a direction that DC should have been going for from the get-go. You know, not quite copying Marvel, but having a sort of tone that definitely fits majority of the DC heroes. You know, I mean, it's not going to fit Batman, but it'll definitely fit the Flash. It'll definitely fit Superman in that sort of style. But moving on to the rest of the film, the other pros I liked. Well, for me, the villains are actually quite intriguing, and the story, plotline, while a little bit of a mess and a little bit rushed, it is worthy of a sequel to Wonder Woman. I was not a biggest fan of the first Wonder Woman film. I'll tell you now, I'm not going to be sitting through it anytime soon. It's just not my cup of tea. But this one definitely is. Definitely giving you that sort of 80s nostalgia while also having the feel of a late 90s, early 2000s superhero movie. You know, definitely feels like that. Yeah, the storyline is a little weak, but for me in places it definitely brings a lot to the table. Of course, you have to question why it isn't in the Justice League. It's like, you know, was that you in 1984? You know, is nobody literally questioning this in future films? You know, why did you get your powers? I mean, you know, it states that about the renouncing of wishes, right? But this could easily be a backdoor to the rest of the DCEU. You know, what if Giganta, which is another Wonder Woman villain, I mean, yeah, while it kind of rehashes what happens in this film, but you know, what if she had wished that she was giant? You know, maybe she's really small and she wishes that she was taller, but the wish sort of goes awry, and then she has control over it. You know, those people that didn't renounce their wish, but those that renounced their wish enough to actually stop Maxwell Lord from taking over and being we'll get on to his character in a minute. I like Cheetah. There could have been a lot more with Cheetah, but I did like that character. For me, it feels like, you know, they could have shown the transformation. It would have been nice to see the transformation from human to cheetah. You know, there's a lot of things that I think they could have done which they didn't do, but you know, that's the name of the game sometimes. that fight scene, a lot of people have been giving it shit for the way it is and the way it's choreographed, the way it looks, the CGI, and the fact that they only filmed it in the dark because it hides CGI and stuff like that. Now, I'm not denying that that's not true, but it's definitely something that could have been worked on. It's not perfect. As I said before, the film is not perfect. The CGI is pretty dabbed, you know what I mean? Like, except for her flying princess. Let's talk about some other plot points that I liked. The whole thing with Wonder Woman being weaker was interesting to watch. I mean, I've watched a lot of TV shows where they do that. Smallville was the biggest problem, in terms of this storyline type. Getting rid of the powers, having somebody else have the powers for a time being, all these little things. That is the problem with this, that little storyline. It does feel like it's overdone, but it's not been done with Wonder Woman before. And I get the idea that, it's the same with how do you make a Superman game? The dude is overpowered. So how do you get it to the point where you're weakened? Do they do it then the Kryptonite storyline? So it was the same for Wonder Woman in this film. For this instance, so they were like, okay, so how do we make a powerful character like this weaker? How do we make it so that there's something out there that could be more powerful, but it's because she's weak and not because it's more powerful? That's something that they try to do in a lot of these films and a lot of these superhero films. They always be like, well, there is a weakness to it, but in this case it was because of the plot line, the overall plot. And my first instinct was that when Cheetah asked to be like Diana, that it was a case of that she was just siphoning off all the power of Wonder Woman, but actually it was a case of the wish was causing it. Not Cheetah's wish, but Wonder Woman's wish. It was a case of her wish was to bring Steve Rogers back, but in doing so, you get what you want, but you also start to lose what is most important in your life, whether that be, money, whether it be family, or in this instance, superpower. And that is how it happens, and I think it's quite intriguing. But I think I've talked about everything I liked in the film, to be fair. Oh, actually, the last scene, the after credits scene, where we got Golden Woman, I can't remember her name, Hysteria, something like that. She appears. You're thinking, oh, it's Wonder Woman, she's just in a cloak and she saves a baby and a woman, the mother of the baby. And then you find out it's actually Linda Carter from the 80s Wonder Woman series, and it's pretty fun to see. It's actually really nice to see Linda Carter being brought into it, like in some way, shape and form. She previously played an alien on Supergirl, but it's nice for her to get into the sort of Wonder Woman role without actually being Wonder Woman, and it's nice to see. It was one of the people that I was expecting to see in Crisis on Infinite Earths, but instead we get it here in this Wonder Woman film, and I think it's done nicely. It's done well. Yes, it's a bit cheesy the way she looks at the camera and winks, but that is not for us. That's not like it. While it is for us, but in the film universe, it's for the child and the baby. It's for the woman and the baby. But for us, it's obviously a little look, it's me, it's Wonder Woman, it's Linda Carter. So I quite like that. Cheesy as it is, I really do like that, and I think that people are shitting on that in a way that, yeah, so what? It's cheesy. It's meant to be. So that's pretty much everything I liked in the film. Then let's get on to the cons, and I'm going to talk about this. I'm going to get rid of this because this was the one thing that really pissed me off, that didn't in any way make sense in this film, is the ship. How she makes the plane invisible. Now, Yes, of course, you know, there could have been a little tech thing that makes it invisible that she could have made because she's, you know, a little bit different to everybody else. She could see things different. But instead it's some stupid power that she gets. Now I'm not big into Wonder Woman comics. But as far as I know, she does not have a power to start going like this and be like, well, okay, invisible. And that's it. Doesn't make sense to me. So, you know, it's a little bit, you know, but I don't know what else I can say about it. I don't like it at all. The ship thing I just don't like. You know, and I think it's funny that people actually think that that's one of the good parts of this film because they've actually made sense of it. It doesn't make sense. So yeah, that plane scene definitely gets me riled up. Talking about some other cons, Maxwell Lord. What they do with Maxwell Lord is it's just not what they should be doing with a Wonder Woman character. Well, I say a Wonder Woman character, but like a DC character. That's my vote. It's definitely not something that should be doing with a DC character. Especially Maxwell Lord, they could have done so much more with this character. And they made him the villain, and you know, are there any like that's the biggest question of this film coming out to me. Are there any ramifications for him? Is he going to jail for nearly ending the known world? Is there, or isn't there? That's literally the question that we have at the end of the film. But you know, the way they treat Maxwell Lord, he's one of the best villains in DC history. I'd go out there and say he's one of the more intriguing villains in comics alone. You know, but they completely messed him up here. They did better on Supergirl with him than they did here. But I can't blame Pedro Pascal for it. Pedro Pascal is an absolutely brilliant actor. You know, I mean, we watched him in Mandalorian. He's brilliant. There was something else that I saw him in recently, in a third series of things. You know, it was like, oh, okay, so he dipped his feet in Star Wars, he dipped his feet in Marvel. There's something else now, but I can't think of what it was. But this guy is a brilliant actor, and it does feel like sort of, I don't know, it just really felt weak. I mean, you know, two villains, you know, and one of them was just a divisive way of making sure that she has someone like Maxwell Lord is not that one, that's Gina. But you know, it was really weak. You know, I was sitting there with my dad and watching it, and I was quite enjoying the film. I ain't gonna lie, I enjoyed this film. I nitpicked at it a lot. As I said, I didn't. You know, I'm not the biggest fan of Wonder Woman, as it is. I like the Linda Carter scene for what it did, and I have to like it for like Justice League and stuff like that. But in this instance, you know, it messed up big time. This could have been a lot more of a film, and it wasn't. But I'm not hating on it like most people. I think this is a very good film, and it deserves, you know, a lot more appreciation for what it did. You know, it's very brave to go into a film with a big plot line like this, bullshit plot line like this, and try and make a film out of it. That is brave, and that is something that obviously we watch and we see. And while it is good, it's also bad. So, you know, do I see it ruining any chances of there being a Wonder Woman 3? Absolutely not. There will be a Wonder Woman 3. But let's just move on to some of the other things. Well, I say some of the other things, I think I've pretty much covered it all. There's not a lot else to say, but I have to say that this needs to be pointed out. I'm not hating on this film at all. You know, it's certainly not perfect, it's far from perfect. But it's a good film. It's enjoyable. You know, it's got action, it's got comedy, it's got drama. You know, it's got a freaking, you know, a lot of people take a Marvel like movie, for instance, where they think it's got to be all action. Spider-Man Homecoming, a lot of people shut on Spider-Man Homecoming not being very good. Small majority, and it's because of the action, and because the action scenes aren't there. You know, not every superhero film and not every action adventure film has to be all about action. Yeah, I know that's a little bit derogative, me saying that an action adventure film hasn't got a lot of action, but what they did with this film and what direction it went in, with Wonder Woman, you know, giving her speech, you know, it very much felt like you know, David Tennant's Doctor Who when that ended. Not when it ended, but when the that episode with John Sim and the Master and the Doctor playing, you know, and everyone's just basically saying the Doctor, and it's bringing him back. It definitely feels like that. You know, they've just reverse engineered it so that everybody was renouncing their, you know, renouncing their. What can't I think of the word? Renouncing their wishes. I couldn't think of the word there. So you know. So what's my verdict on this film? This film is good. It's better than the original Wonder Woman in my opinion. So stop shitting on it. But that's just my opinion. You don't have to take my opinion as the be all and end all. That is definitely not where I'm going with this. But for me, I don't think it deserves the shit it's getting. But I absolutely like this film. It is an enjoyable film, and I definitely recommend it for you to watch. So that is everything that we've got for you today. You know, I've been Scribbo. This has been Scribbosphere, and yeah, we're going to head into our next video soon, where I'll be talking about some of the best films of last year. I've got a list somewhere. I'm going to have to find it. I've got a list somewhere, but I've definitely got to add on a film that I watched this year that was from last year. It definitely deserves to be on the list. So, thanks for watching. Again, I've been Scribbo. This has been Scribbosphere. I hope you enjoyed it, and I'll see you next time, folks.